My name is Rachel Moreno, and I'm 33 years old. The morning my mother told me I'd always depend on them, we were sitting in her kitchen. Sunday. 10 a.m. The kind of weekly ritual I'd been showing up for my entire adult life because not showing up meant questions. Judgment. The weight of disappointment that felt heavier than any conversation. She was making coffee. The expensive kind. Beans she ordered online. Grinder that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Everything in her kitchen was like that. Carefully chosen. Expensive. Proof of something. I sat on the island, watching her move through the familiar routine. She didn't ask if I wanted coffee anymore. Just made it. Handed it to me in one of her pristine white mugs. The kind that showed every stain. So. She leaned against the counter. How's work? Fine. Just fine. Good. Work is good. Still at the same place. Still teaching, yes. She sipped her coffee. Made a small sound. Not quite disapproving. Just acknowledgement that my choices continued to be what they'd always been. Disappointing. 11 years now, right? Same school. 12 years. She set down her mug. Carefully. That's a long time to stay in one place. Don't you ever think about moving up? Administration? Curriculum development? Something with better pay? I like teaching. I know you like it. But liking something doesn't pay for retirement, Rachel. You're 33. You should be thinking about your future. I am thinking about it. Are you? Because from where I sit, you're stuck. Same job. Same salary. Same small apartment. You're not building anything. You're just existing. The words landed the way they always did. Soft. Precise. Cutting without seeming to cut. I'm building a life I'm proud of. Proud doesn't pay bills. She poured more coffee. Look, I'm not criticizing. I'm just being realistic. Teaching is noble work. But it's not financially sustainable. Not long term. You're going to need help. You will always need help. I don't need help now. You say that. But you're one emergency away from disaster. One car repair. One medical bill. You have no cushion. No safety net. Except us. I have savings. How much? I didn't answer. Because the number, $12,000, would sound small to her. Would prove her point. That I wasn't really managing. Just barely surviving. That's what I thought. She smiled. Gentle. Pitying. Rachel, there's no shame in needing family. We're here for you. We've always been here for you. But you need to accept that you will always depend on us. That's just reality. Maybe your reality. No. Reality. You make $48,000 a year. You live in a 500 square foot apartment. You drive a car from 2009. Those aren't judgments. They're facts. And facts mean you need support. Our support. I stood up. Started rinsing my mug. I appreciate your concern. But I'm doing fine. Fine again. She shook her head. You keep saying that word. Like if you say it enough, it becomes true. It is true. Then why do you still come here every Sunday? Why do you accept the groceries I buy for you? The checks I send on your birthday? Because you insist. And saying no causes more problems than saying yes. See? Even now, you're dependent. You just don't want to admit it. I dried my hands. Turned to face her. I need to go. Errands to run. Of course. She hugged me. Brief. Polite. Just remember, we're here. When you finally realize you can't do this alone, we're here. I left. Drove home in my 2009 Honda. To my 500 square foot apartment. To the life she thought was evidence of failure. But what she didn't know, what I'd never told her, was that everything she saw was a choice. Not a limitation. A strategy. Because while she'd been watching me stay small, I'd been building something big. Something she was about to discover. My mother thought I made $48,000 a year because that's what teachers make. She was right about the teaching salary. But she was wrong about everything else. I'd been investing since I was 22. Right out of college. Not much at first. $50 a month. Whatever I could spare after rent and groceries. I put it into a Roth IRA. Index funds. Nothing fancy. Just consistent. But consistency compounds. By the time I was 25, I had $8,000 invested. Not impressive. But it was mine. Built from nothing. From discipline my mother would have called deprivation. Then my grandmother died. Dad's mom. She left me $25,000. Small inheritance. Divided among many grandchildren. My mother suggested I use it for a down payment on a car. Something reliable. Something that matched my adult status. I thanked her for the advice. Didn't take it. Instead, I invested $20,000. Kept $5,000 as an emergency fund. I took the bus for another year. My mother was horrified. You're riding public transportation when you have money for a car. What will people think? I don't care what people think. But that wasn't entirely true. I cared what some people thought. Just not her. Not the people who measured success by what you drove or where you lived. I cared what I thought. And I thought building wealth mattered more than looking wealthy. Over the next 8 years, I kept investing. 20% of every paycheck. Sometimes more. I lived below my means. Way below. Small apartment. Used car eventually, when the bus became impractical. Thrift store clothes. Groceries from discount stores. I didn't deprive myself of happiness. Just things I didn't need. And I read. Everything I could find about investing. Financial independence. Early retirement. Building wealth slowly. I learned about tax-advantaged accounts. About asset allocation. About the difference between looking rich and being rich. By the time I was 30, I had $200,000 invested. By 32, $300,000. By 33, $412,000. Not enough to retire. But enough to have options. Enough to know I wasn't dependent on anyone. Least of all my mother. But I never told her. Never corrected her assumptions. Because correcting her would have meant explaining. And explaining would have meant justifying. And I was tired of justifying my choices to someone who'd never understand them. So I let her think what she thought. That I was barely surviving. That I needed her support. Her checks on birthdays. Her groceries. Her concern. It was easier than the alternative. Easier than her knowing the truth and finding new reasons to be disappointed. New ways I wasn't doing things right. But that was about to change. Because 2 weeks ago, my grandmother, my mother's mother this time, had died. And she'd left a trust. To be distributed among her children and grandchildren. And tomorrow, there was a meeting at the bank. To review the trust. Sign papers. Finalize distributions. And my mother was going to learn something. About trust. About the accounts. About me. Something that would rearrange everything she thought she knew. The meeting was at 10 a.m. Tuesday. First National Bank. Downtown. The trust department occupied the entire 3rd floor. Quiet. Professional. The kind of place where money was discussed in low voices. My mother arrived first. With my father. She was dressed carefully. Black suit. Pearls. The costume of someone who takes inheritance seriously. Who understands its importance. I arrived 5 minutes later. Jeans. Sweater. The kind of outfit that made her eyes tighten. Rachel. You couldn't dress up. This is important. It's a bank meeting. It's your grandmother's trust. Show some respect. I'm respectful. Just not performative about it. My father touched her arm. Gently. Helen. Let it go. We were led to a conference room. Large table. Leather chairs. Windows overlooking the city. The trust officer, Mr. Chen, was already there. Along with my Uncle David and Aunt Patricia. Mom's siblings. Everyone who'd been named in the trust. We sat. Made awkward small talk. The kind families make when money's involved. When love gets complicated by distribution. Mr. Chen opened a folder. Thank you all for coming. We're here to review Margaret Whitmore's trust and finalize distributions. As you know, she established this trust 15 years ago. It's been managed conservatively. And it's grown substantially. He handed out packets. Thick. Detailed. Numbers and legal language. The total trust value is approximately $3.2 million. To be distributed according to Margaret's instructions. My mother's posture changed. Straightened. 3.2 million was more than she'd expected. More than any of us had expected. Grandma had lived modestly. Small house. Simple life. No one realized she'd been so careful with money. Mr. Chin continued. The distribution is as follows. To Helen Moreno, $750,000. To David Whitmore, $750,000. To Patricia Campbell, $750,000. He paused. Looked at his notes. And to Rachel Moreno, $950,000. The room went still. Not silent. Still. Like time had paused to process what had just been said. My mother's head turned. Slowly. Toward me. 950,000. Mr. Chin nodded. Margaret made specific provisions for Rachel. A larger share. With instructions that it be placed in accounts Rachel is already managing. Accounts I'm managing. My voice sounded distant. Surprised even though I shouldn't have been. Yes. He pulled out another document. Margaret left instructions. She'd been in contact with your financial advisor. She knew about your investment accounts. Your portfolio. She was impressed. She wanted her distribution to go somewhere it would be well managed. So she structured it to flow directly into your existing accounts. With you as sole beneficiary and manager. My mother's face had gone white. Do you have investment accounts? Yes. With a financial advisor? Yes. For how long? 11 years. She looked at Mr. Chin. Then back at me. How much do you have invested? I hesitated. Because this was the moment. The revelation. The end of her assumptions. About 400,000. Before this distribution. 400, she couldn't finish the sentence. Her breath had caught. Stopped. Margaret was very proud, Mr. Chin said gently. She told me Rachel was the only grandchild who'd built real wealth. Who understood the difference between looking successful and being successful. That's why she left her the larger share. My Uncle David smiled. Good for you, Rachel. Seriously. That's impressive. Aunt Patricia nodded. Agreed. Your grandmother would be so happy knowing you'll manage this well. But my mother just stared. At me. At the documents. At the number. 950,000. Added to 400,000. $1.3 million. Her daughter. The teacher. The one she'd been pitying every Sunday over expensive coffee. The one she'd said would always depend on them. Had more money than she did. After the meeting, we walked to the parking lot together. My parents. Me. Silence between us. Heavy. Disorienting. My father spoke first. Why didn't you tell us? I didn't see the point. The point? My mother's voice was sharp. Defensive. You let us think you were struggling. That you needed our help. You thought that on your own. I never asked for help. But you accepted it. The groceries. The birthday checks. Because refusing would have caused fights. Would have required explaining. Which would have led to this. You're upset that I didn't share my financial life with you. We're your parents. And this is my life. My money. My choices. My mother stopped walking. Turned to face me. You made me look like a fool. All those times I worried about you. Offer advice. Tried to help. And you were sitting on $400,000. I wasn't sitting on it. I was investing it. Building it. Doing exactly what you always told me I should do, planning for my future. But you never said, because you never asked. You assumed. You saw my small apartment and old car and decided I was failing. You never once asked if I was happy. If my choices were intentional. You just decided they were evidence of failure. That's not fair. It's accurate. My father stepped in. Rachel, your mother is just surprised. We both are. This is a lot to process. I understand that. But I'm not going to apologize for building a life you didn't approve of. For making choices that made sense to me even if they didn't make sense to you. My mother's eyes were wet. Not crying. Just overwhelmed. I thought I was helping. I thought you needed me. I did need you. Just not financially. I needed you to believe in me. To trust that I knew what I was doing. But you couldn't do that. Because my choices didn't look like success to you. So you proved me wrong. By hiding this. I wasn't hiding anything. I was living my life. Privately. The way I'm entitled to. She turned away. Opened her car door. My father followed. Before he got in, he looked back at me. Congratulations. On the inheritance. And on everything you built. Your mother will come around. She just needs time. I know. They drove away. Leaving me standing in the parking lot. Sun too bright. Wind too cold. The kind of weather that doesn't match how you feel. I got in my 2009 Honda. Started the engine. Reliable as always. And I thought about my mother's face. When she heard the number. When she realized everything she believed about me was wrong. When her entire narrative, the one where I was dependent and struggling and always needing her, shattered in one sentence from a trust officer. I didn't feel victorious. Just tired. Tired of hiding. Tired of letting her think less of me to avoid conflict. Tired of the performance. But I also felt something else. Relief. That it was done. That the truth was out. That I didn't have to pretend anymore. 3 days later, my mother called. Evening. I was grading papers. My phone lit up with her name. I almost didn't answer. But not answering would have made things worse. Hello? Rachel. It's Mom. I know. Can we talk? Really talk? Okay. She took a breath. I've been thinking. About what you said. About me assuming you were failing instead of asking if you were happy. You're right. I did that. Thank you for saying that. And I'm sorry. I thought I was being helpful. But I was being judgmental. Controlling. I measured your success by my standards. Not yours. I set down my pen. Focused entirely on the conversation. This was new. Her apologizing. Actually admitting she'd been wrong. Why didn't you tell me? About the investments. The savings. All of it. Because you would have had opinions. About how I should invest. Where I should live. What I should buy. You always have opinions. And I was tired of defending my choices. You thought I'd criticize. I knew you'd criticize. You've been criticizing my choices since college. My major. My career. My apartment. My car. Everything. It was easier to just not tell you. She was quiet. Then. You're right. I have done that. I thought I was pushing you to be better. But I was just pushing you to be more like me. I don't want to be like you, Mom. No offense. But your definition of success, the big house, expensive things, keeping up appearances, that's not what I want. I want security. Freedom. The ability to live on my terms. That's what I built. And you did build it. Very well. I saw the portfolio details. The advisor showed me, with your permission. You've done everything right. Diversified. Low fees. Tax efficient. You clearly know what you're doing. I've been learning for 11 years. I'm proud of you. The words caught me off guard. Not because she'd never said them. But because she'd never said them about this. About the thing that actually mattered to me. Thank you. But I'm also hurt. That you didn't trust me enough to share this. Would you have reacted well? 2 years ago. 5 years ago. Would you have celebrated or tried to manage me? She didn't answer. Because we both knew. She would have tried to manage. Would have had opinions about advisors and allocation and risk. Would have made it about her instead of letting it be mine. I want to do better, she said finally. I want to be someone you can share things with. Without worrying I'll judge or control. That would be nice. Can we try? Can I try? Yes. We talked for another 30 minutes. About the investments. About my grandmother. About why she'd left me the larger share. Mom admitted she'd been jealous at first. That it felt like judgment from her own mother. Like Grandma was saying Rachel did better than you did. But then I realized, she said. Mom wasn't judging me. She was recognizing you. For doing something I never did. Building wealth quietly. Living intentionally. That takes discipline I don't have. I want to feel successful. You save to be successful. That's different. Better, probably. Not better. Just different. No. Better. And I'm trying to accept that. After we hung up, I sat with the conversation. With the apology. With the possibility that maybe, Slowly, our relationship could be different. Less performative. More honest. I didn't know if it would last. If she'd really change or just slip back into old patterns. But the attempt mattered. The acknowledgement mattered. 6 months after the trust distribution, my life looked almost the same. Same apartment. Same car. Same teaching job. I'd moved my grandmother's inheritance into my investment accounts. Diversified it. Let it sit. No urge to spend it. No pressure to prove anything. But my relationship with my mother had changed. Slowly. Subtly. She still invited me for Sunday coffee. But the questions were different now. Less about what I was doing wrong. More about what I was doing at all. How's teaching? Good. We're starting a new unit on poetry. The kids are actually engaged. That's wonderful. She meant it. No undercurrent of disappointment that I wasn't doing something more impressive. She also stopped buying groceries for me. Stopped sending checks. Not because she was punishing me. Because I'd asked her to stop. Because I didn't need them. And she respected that. One Sunday, she brought up finances. Carefully. Rachel, can I ask you something? About investing? Sure. I've been thinking. Your father and I have retirement accounts. But I don't really understand them. We just let the advisor manage everything. Should I be more involved? Probably. It's your money. You should know where it is. What it's doing. Could you help me understand? Not manage it. Just understand it. Of course. We spent the next hour going through her statements. I explained asset allocation. Fees. Risk tolerance. She listened. Asked questions. Took notes. At the end, she looked at me. You're good at this. Teaching. Explaining. You should do this professionally. I do it professionally. Just with teenagers instead of adults. You know what I mean. Financial education. You could teach classes. Write a blog. Help people like me who feel intimidated by all this. Maybe someday. Why not now? Because I like what I do. Teaching literature. Helping kids think critically. That matters to me. Can't both matter? I considered that. Maybe. But not yet. Right now, teaching is enough. She smiled. Okay. But if you change your mind, I think you'd be excellent at it. Thank you. That afternoon, after I left, I thought about her suggestion. About financial education. About helping people understand money so they felt empowered instead of dependent. It was interesting. But not urgent. Not necessary. Just a possibility. And that felt right. Having options. Having security. Having the freedom to choose what mattered instead of being forced into choices by necessity. That's what $400,000, now $1.3 million, had given me. Not luxury. Freedom. The most valuable thing wealth can buy. 1 year after the trust meeting, I showed up for Sunday coffee. But this time, I brought something. A folder. Financial documents. Numbers my mother had never seen. She poured coffee. I noticed the folder. What's that? Something. I want to show you. Okay. I opened it. Pulled out statements. My investment accounts. Updated. Current balances. 1.4 million. The inheritance had grown. The market had been kind. Consistent contributions had compounded. This is where I am. Financially. I wanted you to see. Not because I'm bragging. Because I want you to understand what I built. Why did I build it this way? She studied the numbers. Carefully. Then I looked up. You're going to be a millionaire before 40. I am already a millionaire. Just barely. But yes. And you did this on a teacher's salary. And discipline. And time. And understanding that wealth isn't about income. It's about what you do with income. You're going to retire early, aren't you? Maybe. If I want to. But I like teaching. So maybe I'll just teach part-time. Or volunteer. Or take summers off. I have options now. She set down the papers. Ran her hand over them. Like they were something precious. I was wrong. About everything. About you needing us. About your choices being mistakes. You were building something I couldn't see. Because I wasn't looking for it. You were looking for your version of success. Not mine. And your version is better. Not better. More sustainable. Less dependent on appearance. More focused on actual security. She smiled. Small. Real. Your grandmother knew. She saw what you were doing. That's why she left you more. Not because she loved you more. Because she trusted you more. I think so. I'm trying to be someone you can trust too. Someone who supports your choices instead of questioning them. You're getting there. We drank our coffee. Talked about other things. Her garden. My students. Dad's golf game. Normal things. The kind of conversation that didn't need to be about money or success or proving anything. Before I left, she hugged me. Longer than usual. Tighter. I'm proud of you. Not for the money. For discipline. For knowing what you wanted and building it without needing anyone's approval. That's a strength I don't have. You have different strengths. Maybe. But I admire yours. I drove home. Past the expensive neighborhoods where she lived. To my small apartment in my modest neighborhood. To the life she'd once pitied. The life I'd chosen. The life that had given me freedom she was still searching for. My mom whispered you will always depend on us. She whispered her pride and control. Her certainty that I needed her. That I'd always need her. I thanked her quietly. Because arguing wouldn't have changed her mind. Because she needed to discover the truth herself. In a bank conference room. From a trust officer reading numbers that didn't match her narrative. The bank manager congratulated me later. On the inheritance. On the portfolio I'd built. On the discipline and vision that had taken me from $50 monthly contributions to $1.4 million in 11 years. Mom stared like time stopped. Like the world had rearranged itself. Like everything she believed about me, about success, about dependence, about what mattered, shattered in one moment. Her smile shattered. Not maliciously. Just inevitably. Because the truth is heavy. And pretending is exhausting. And eventually, reality reveals itself. In trust distributions. In investment statements. In the quiet, undeniable math of compounding discipline. I didn't build wealth to prove her wrong. I built it to prove myself right. To live according to my values. To have freedom and security and options. But proving her wrong was a side benefit. A necessary correction. A moment when the daughter she'd pitied became the daughter she had to respect. Not because I needed her respect. Because she needed to give it. To adjust her understanding. To see me clearly for the first time. That was the real inheritance. Not money. Clarity. For both of us. About who I was. What I'd built. What I was capable of without her help. And that clarity, hard-won and carefully revealed, was worth more than any trust distribution. It was worth everything.